My name is Rikki. I'm a dietitian, so my degree, my license, my full-time job is all about nutrition and dietetics. I know a lot about food. Thank you. There's another dietitian in the audience tonight. I invited her, it's fine. The time between Thanksgiving and Christmas is a great time to go over some of the science behind these big holiday meals. I call it the science of Thanksgiving because mostly tonight I'm talking about turkey, but there's big turkeys at Christmas dinner. Some of this is the same for ham, so it's both. So the science of Thanksgiving. What are we doing today? The first part, my turkey talk, has two parts. The first part is going to be on food safety. First, should we stuff that turkey? And second, how do turkey timers work? The next part is going to be about that post-Thanksgiving nap. Whether you call it food coma or postprandial somnolence, why does it hit so hard after Thanksgiving meal, but not when you just bring a turkey sandwich to work for lunch? So let's start with food safety. Is stuffing a turkey safe? On the left, we have this turkey that was, the stuffing was put in it and then it was cooked. On the right, we have this turkey with the cavity empty. And in the middle, we have where I bowled my first turkey a few days ago, this past Monday. Yeah. Also, I don't even know how that picture got in there. Oh my gosh, stop, no. So if we want the turkey to be food safe, we have to cook it to a certain temperature to kill all the bacteria. Are there any restaurant folk in the crowd? Maybe somebody who's Serve Safe certified. Does anybody know how hot? Oh, we've got someone behind the bar. How hot does the chicken and the turkey have to be?
Real hot.
165.
165. Excellent. So that's the temperature at which most poultry, chicken and turkey, are safe to eat. The bacteria is killed. That's not the temperature that you set your oven to. That's like the temperature of the meat. And if we put the stuffing in the turkey while it's still raw, of course, the raw turkey juices, and I practice this speech too. My vegan friend, she was horrified because I say turkey and raw turkey and turkey juice. If you're vegan and you're at this talk, I think it's your own fault. We sent out the title of it ahead of time. So we're picturing it. So the stuffing, you mix up your stuffing, you put it in the raw turkey, the turkey juices, everything's swapping around. So the stuffing, of course, also has to get to 165 just because it's been touching possibly those same germs. And you may have noticed when you're cooking something or if you're freezing it, thawing it, anytime you're trying to change the temperature, the bigger and or denser that it is, the longer it takes. Now, turkeys are already pretty large, and then we make them really dense when we put stuffing in them. Those suckers take a long time to cook. So if we need it to get to 165, all the way in the center of this ball of bird and stuffing, what happens to the outside? Don't answer. I have somebody else answering for this one today.
Okay. Nice butter. Good bread. Turkey's a little dry. Turkey's a little dry. Oh,
The turkey gets very dry if you cook it all. My 10-minute lead up to say that the turkey gets dry. I'm so sorry. All right, and now I have to exit out of this and figure out how to get back to it.
Just go to present again. I think it'll take it over.
I can't find the mouse.
Oh, yeah.
When I debrief this in my head later, was it worth it? No, this was not worth it. Thank you. Okay. The turkey gets, thank you. So the turkey gets super dry. So how do you get that Instagram ready turkey and not get sick from salmonella? And before we move to the next slide, please take note. This one you can tell really was, it looks pretty, but my Instagram ready turkey, it's not mine of course, but the Instagram ready turkey is going to look much better. They use a trick I'm going to tell you. So that's what it looks like if you cook it in the bird. Hopefully it got to 165. Nope, that's me again. What you would do is you would cook your stuffing first by itself, and because it's not touching any raw poultry juice, you don't have to get it all the way to 165, so you cook that by itself. Then you cook the turkey by itself, and because the cavity will be empty, it's less dense and it will cook faster. And you can also just take it out whenever the turkey's ready. You don't have to wait for more of it to cook hotter. Then you just work your photo magic, stuff the bird after you cook it, and present it so it can be the gorgeous, food-safe centerpiece that it deserves to be. And we can see here, this was definitely not cooked in the oven like that. That looks much too perfect. So your photos will be better as well. All right, the next part of our science of Thanksgiving is turkey timers. Sometimes they're called pop-up timers, but I don't think out in the real world I've ever seen one other than in a turkey. So these are neat. They come in the turkey flat, like this, and then when the turkey is ready, they pop up. Boom, done, you know your turkey is safe. But how does the turkey timer know? So they are spring-loaded, and at normal room temperature, they're compressed and held together by metal. And the metal has a melting point of about 180 degrees. So when the turkey meat gets to 180 degrees, it melts the metal. It's all encapsulated. Nothing's touching your food. But it melts the metal, and then once it's a liquid, the spring is released, and it pops up, like ding. And then you know that it's safe. But 180 degrees isn't what we're going for. So we still kind of end up possibly overcooking that turkey by 15 degrees of what they call the minimum internal temperature. It doesn't have to get all the way that hot. Plus, if you do decide to cook the stuffing in the turkey, which you're welcome to do, but as Homer told us, it would get very dry, but you can. If you do cook it inside, the turkey timer is put in the thickest part of the meat, but it actually doesn't tell us what really the inside of the stuffing would be. So even if the meat is safe, the stuffing might not be all the way up to 165. Some people like to use just regular kitchen thermometers instead because they can stick it in, and they can put it in the stuffing if they need to, or they can put it, in the breast meat, in the thigh. Make sure that it's 165 degrees all the way around. Or I'm sure some people like to, if you've heard of carryover cooking, like from a steak, you take it out before it's completely done. That'll happen with any meat, so you can also take it out when it's a little lower than 165 and wait till it gets to 165. That's why some people like to use conventional thermometers. But I'm not against these. They're very neat. If you don't know the temperatures, people who are relying on turkey timers are not walking around going, well, we need 165 for the poultry and the stuffing in the center of it. It's not necessary. So these are really good for if you don't know the temperatures, or if you don't have a thermometer, you don't want to give your in-laws food poisoning like at this particular family event. And you know that the experts have put it in the correct place. You just buy it, it's already in there, and there's no calibration needed like you would with a different thermometer. The metal just melts at its melting point. You can just buy these, but it's good to keep in mind that, as we just said, since the metal's going to melt at 180 no matter where you put it, 165 is, you're never going to need to get meat hotter than that to be safe, any different type of meat. So you'll always be at risk for overcooking your food a little bit more than to your liking. And also, did I have it in Oslo? No, I don't think I did. So it's just you might accidentally overcook the food. And on the right here is just a picture of a conventional thermometer. It's just foldable. You can use that to any temperature you want. Of course, it's not going to pop up when it's done. It's just a regular thermometer. All right, so that was the food safety portion. Now we are moving on to the sleepiness after eating your big holiday meal. This is my Bitmoji dreaming of my other Bitmoji. What causes the sleepiness after a big holiday meal? It starts with a T. It's in turkey. I think you guys already know it.
Tryptophan.
It's tryptophan. You guys are right. Yes, you guys are so smart. Oh, is this working?
It was an amazing transition.
Thank you. 2 a.m. figuring out how to work the glow thing. So I'm only halfway done my presentation though, so even though we learned the answer, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. So tryptophan is an amino acid. It's kind of like the smallest, babyest protein, but it's not a protein yet. And so amino acids, there's several different ones. They join together to make chains of peptides, and then peptides join together and they fold and fold some more and keep folding until they are a functional protein. And when they are in different orders and different amounts of folding and different numbers of them, they'll end up being all the proteins that we use in our body. So I like to think of amino acids as like a single color or a single shape of Lego. And when you put the Lego bricks together, it makes your functional protein. Individually, it doesn't do too much, but that's what makes, your Lego castle, the drawbridge works, or your Lego car, the wheels start to go. Before it does turn into a protein, I shouldn't say before, but even separated from the rest of the amino acids, though, tryptophan does some other neat stuff in our body. So tryptophan, this single amino acid, it's higher in poultry than some other foods, which is how it gets linked to Thanksgiving. And it is the precursor to serotonin, and serotonin is our happy chemical. And serotonin is used to make melatonin, which is our sleepy chemical, right? This is how we get so tired. The question, does this work fast enough that that's what's causing our sleepiness at the end of Thanksgiving? So there was a study, and look, it had a small sample size. I know this is a nerdy group. The study had a small sample size. I think the N was 12. So we're just looking at... I will show myself out. I'm not trying to prove points here. I'm trying to just open our minds to have questions. So just give me a moment. So our N of 12, so small, right? I get it. But they were doing, how about we just call it a pilot study? Does that make it a little better? So there was a pilot study done where they gave people tryptophan in the morning and then measured their melatonin at night, right? Instead of taking our little melatonin gummies before we go to bed, could we just eat turkey for breakfast? And they said that the having tryptophan in the morning didn't change melatonin production at night. So again, it's a pilot study, small sample size. We're not trying to prove this today. It's just saying, I don't know if we can all definitely blame that if it's in the same meal that the tryptophan has time to turn into serotonin, and then that the serotonin has time to turn into melanin and then send us asleep. So what are some other reasons we might get tired? So at the beginning of the slides, we did ask the question, why does it happen after Thanksgiving, but not just a normal turkey sandwich? So you have turkey sandwich for lunch. You've got a couple ounces of turkey, 2 pieces of bread, lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, bag of chips on the side. But on Thanksgiving, we have charcuterie boards, turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, these really cute pumpkin rolls that I made that I want an excuse to share with everybody. They're pumpkin shaped, there's pumpkin in them, and they're higher in vitamin A because I put pumpkin in them. It's for a different lecture, but it's there. And of course, there's all your pies, your pumpkin pie, your pecan pie, pecan pie, like however it's pronounced, all these pies are there at the table. And all that food really just makes us want to rest and digest. Rest and digest is the opposite of fight or flight. So your sympathetic nervous system is the one for fight or flight. It gets you all hyped up and like ready to go. And rest and digest is after you eat, it's your parasympathetic nervous system, and it kind of says, let's take a nap. I really need to digest this food. Your blood is more in your digestive system, so you're just not as alert, like when all your blood's in your brain or your muscles or things like that. And also, when you eat any big meal, this rest and digest happens. But Thanksgiving and holiday meals are also really heavy in carbs, like sugars and starches, right? We've got candied yams, that's sugar and starch. Our mashed potatoes, stuffing, cute little pumpkin rolls, the pie crust. The filling is sugary. And all that sugar, and the starch once it turns into sugar, starts to give you that rush until your insulin response kicks in. And insulin lowers your blood sugar, sends it all to your cells. And when you have high blood sugar, you're like pretty excited. But when you have low blood sugar, you're very lethargic. So we've already eaten this big meal, we'll rest and digest. And now it was a carb-heavy meal. And the insulin is just also beating us down. And there's one more piece of the meal that will also cause drowsiness, and that is wine and other alcohol. Right? Make sure to get some of your wine and other alcohol and support spirit. So the drug classification of alcohol is a depressant, meaning it's totally going to relax you and slow you down, right? So at this point, we're just piling on all the reasons that we might be tired. So to go back to our first question, why do we get so tired? It might be the tryptophan, but it's more likely the overeating, high carbohydrate intake, and drinking that makes people tired after a big holiday meal. The tryptophan doesn't keep you any more awake, but hopefully I've cleared its name. That little amino acid, it just wants to make serotonin, right? Like the one molecule still hanging on for our brain, like wake up and go to work tomorrow. It just wants to make serotonin. It's been taking so much of the blame for why we're tired after eating our biggest meal of the year. I hope you'd enjoyed this peek behind the curtain on some of the science behind big holiday meals. We've got the temperature that's needed to kill bacteria, in poultry specifically, how pop-up turkey timers work, which is much hotter than what is needed to kill bacteria, and then the many factors causing you to pass out on the couch before you even hit dessert. And I do also, I've got my last slide here, it is a plug. So I teach food safety. So if, Spirit needs to be recertified, if the restaurant that you work at or your manager or your team needs to be certified or recertified in Serve Safe Manager or Food Handler, please just reach out to me at rikkyrabbin@gmail.com. Thank you.